Hi there, Joe Romani here. I wanted to give a quick bit of advice to especially new consultants, but it does apply to consultants who have been going for a while in terms of what they actually do. And it seems to be quite untrendy to talk about this. And I think it's probably the most value that I give to my consulting clients in terms of a lot of the advice that is out there for consultancies focuses on marketing or sales. But in the product world, if you're selling things, then if a product isn't selling well, then usually it's because that product isn't needed, or because there's a cheaper version or a better version elsewhere. And oddly, with professional services, people don't seem to place that top of their priority list. And as I say, I generally think that it's more important than marketing and sales is to actually, ask yourself, is what we're selling needed? Are people happy to pay sufficiently for it? And ideally, is the market expanding? So, how do you go about finding that out? Well, if you've been a consultant for a while, you'll have a sneaking suspicion if things are hard to sell. I'm dealing with a client at the moment, actually, who they're not selling particularly well, and they think the answer is marketing. But they've been in the game for a while, and the marketing isn't too bad. So, I think it's very much around what the service is, and fortunately they've agreed to discuss that a bit. So how do you go about finding that? Well, the best way is obviously to ask your clients. Ask them what they're, speak to past clients, speak to current clients, speak to people who turned you down in the past. Go onto forums like Reddit, Reddit or LinkedIn or whatever. These groups have, groups focused on your specific area, whether it's change management or IT strategy or implementation or whatever. Ask them, do a research project. It's actually quite a nice research project for an MBA student if you wanted some support there. So that's the first thing, ask them. Secondly, look at what the competitors are selling. Now, of course, everyone thinks their baby is the most beautiful. But you need to look objectively at the competitors, and if they're doing better than you, then you really got to ask why. Is their product cheaper? Is it better? Is it better and cheaper? Are deliverables and benefits better traced, more easily demonstrated, etc. So, I'm not saying I'd say a good 30% of smaller consultancies that I give advice to can shift their service, not significantly very often, but can shift it into an aligned either upstream. If you imagine an organization like that, when I say upstream, I mean going up towards the board, downstream more implementation, or horizontal moves to different departments, or sort of aligned work streams. So do look at that, and do ask your clients, if you are struggling to sell, especially if you've been through the marketing ringer and your website's good, you've got a CRM system, your proposition is decent and all the rest of it, then it's probably likely to be an issue with your service that you're selling rather than anything else. It's also important to remember that the market changes. So what might be highly desirable in year one may not be highly desirable in year 5. And we're seeing a lot of that at the moment with COVID, obviously. And so it's important to keep some flexibility. I always say, niche is good because it's easier to market. But, two or three niches, especially with a smaller firm, is useful because it gives you some flexibility. It allows you to compare the success rates and the conversion rates of different services. So I'm not saying that your baby is ugly, but it's important to keep an open mind about this. Anyway, hope that was useful. Take care. Bye bye.